Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about the 100, episode 711, titled Etherea, which premiered Wednesday, August 12th, 2020 on the CW. I'm recording an hour after the episode has ended, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what they say about the episode. Other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Also, quick YouTube shout-outs to Web No Rio. I'm glad you enjoyed the review, so thank you for that. And also, shout-out to Elvis Ibrahimovic. You seem to be on the right track with a lot of your comments lately, so I can't wait to see what you think about this one as well as the future episodes to come. But thanks again for taking the time to watch and to leave a comment. And also new subscriber, because I'm assuming you're watching the 100 if you're subscribing to my videos. So welcome to Gina Sakorovics. Probably said that wrong. I do apologize about that. But thank you for subscribing. I hope if it is the 100 videos that you're checking out, I hope you come to the very end. If not, check out my other videos that I have posted. But thank you for taking the time. Anyone else who hasn't commented but are here to just listen and hear what I have to say, thank you. I do appreciate it. It's always fun to just see who else is watching the 100, especially since after today's episode, there's only like 5 episodes left, I believe, if I've counted correctly. So, not only are we going to get right into this, but today is the episode I have been waiting for, and that is Bellamy's return. Yes, and I mean literally the synopsis, if you remember itself, says, where in the universe is Bellamy Blake? Let me double check with that. Yep, where in the universe is Bellamy Blake? That is all the synopsis is, rightfully so as well. So, I'm not going to time it, but don't think I will be going over 20 minutes, just because, again, it really is all about Bellamy. I can't really break it down any more than that. So let's see what I have to say about it. So let's get right into it. So timeline-wise, here's the thing, though. For Bellamy, it's continued since he last appeared present day at the end of 705 when he got thrown into the breach or the anomaly wormhole, whatever. So for him, we see what happens to him right after that, and that's him landing with Etherea, and then Conductor, I'm just going to call him the Conductor, but they actually name him Doucette, maybe? But aka Axel from Van Helsing. So they end up on Etherea together, and I'll get right into it though. But for timeline for Bardo, it seems that it's continuing from what happened in the events of 710. We see Levitt at the very beginning of the episode, and he seems to have his wounds still open from when Echo pretty much tortured him for information about the bioweapon in the previous episode. So there's that. It's not like he's fully healed and like it's been weeks or anything like that. So I'm thinking it might be like the day after or so. And then for Clark, we do see at the end of the episode, Clark, Gabriel, Echo, and Octavia. So it seems like for Bardo, it's still business as usual. Now, when it comes to Bellamy's time on Etherea, though, I believe that he's there at least 3 months, just because the Conductor made a comment about how the Shepherd survived in that one cave for 3 months when the blizzard was an issue. So I'm assuming it would also have to be 3 months. And then Bellamy also made a comment that he lost track after 2 months of being in that cave. So if it is actually if it's 3 months that he was on Etherea for, then at least that it looks like the time dilation between Bardo and Etherea are very close together, because as you know, 705, and then we saw the 3 months of the Bardo training that the ladies had to partake in, and then that's when Clark and the others arrived. So I'm thinking that. Otherwise, maybe Etherea runs a little bit faster than Bardo, but that's my guess for that. But otherwise, for episode reminder, again, this is a huge Bellamy-centric episode, rightfully so, since he's been absent for the previous 10 episodes. So that's something there. The huge objective is based on Bellamy's point of view, and that is to get off Etherea. And from the looks of it, he's pretty much spit out in a forest at the bottom, and then at the very top of this very high mountain is the green cloud. And he has to climb up that mountain, and at some point, not the very top, but at some point close to the top is where the orb, the anomaly orb is. It's kind of like similar when on Skyring, Octavia would have to swim to the very bottom of the water to get to the green dust. Bellamy had to go all the way up to the top, essentially. So there's that. And it's with storylines, again, because it's Bellamy, I kind of you could consider it as like either surviving on Etherea storyline, and then it goes the reunion on Bardo part. So with the surviving on Etherea, I will say this, is that we do see Bellamy healing the conductor back to health after Bellamy broke his leg during their fight at the very beginning. And this took about a week for this to happen, which is actually pretty fast. So I don't know if what Bellamy was using for the planet helped for it to be help for a quicker recovery. I don't know, but there's that. Once he was able to be back on their feet, they both went to try to trek up the mountain. And they climb up until this blizzard gets in their way, forcing them to go into this cave that the conductor finds. And he's calling it the Shepherd's Cave because it's actually, there's stuff in there. There's like a bed. There's an old photo of the Cadogan family. And there's also this cave behind it that has like this weird light beings or like warmth, energy, swirling, glowing, that really has Bellamy reevaluating his perspective of the world, kind of a thing. Because up to that point, he's always like, I'm all about proof. You got to show me in order for me to believe. And then the conductor truly countered with the fact that, well, do you love your family? And Bellamy's like, of course I do. And it's like, well, prove that. It's like, and it's kind of odd because, like, how do you prove that? It's like, love is not something that you can see. It's something that you feel, but then it's also the actions that you do for love is kind of the part that you see. So it's a little confusing there. But, like, that's the part where kind of, like, Bellamy had to, like, he was trying to still be resistant. But then once he started coming to the way of the conductor and Bardo and reciting the passage and the prayer, he gets a vision from Bill about the light source. He sees Aurora, his mom, there before he touches the light. And it seems like he has this new awakening. The blizzard is gone. Very coincidental, mind you. And then they take the second climb up the mountain. They get to the orb, find out that the green mist doesn't just envelop them, it goes below them. So you really have to take a leap of faith and jump over the cliff in order to get through the breach. So, which is what Bellamy does eventually to get back to Bardo, which is the second part. And then we see, briefly before, we see Bellamy kneeling to Bill and calling him my shepherd. And so we know where his loyalties lie there. And then we cut to Clark, Gabriel, Echo, and Octavia pretty much being on house arrest and try to figure out what they're going to do next, because they're all waiting for Clark to perform the roles of having the key. And Clark is willing to do that if it meant they should get all of people back to Sanctum. But Octavia and Echo are worried that that's going to compromise Clark's safety, because once she gets in front of the orb and she can't fake putting the codes in, the jig is up, kind of a thing. So before Clark states her deal and says, like, I'm willing to do this, Bill brings in Bellamy, and pretty much at gunpoint because of all the disciple guards, Clark reunites with Bellamy and tells him with a whisper what the key is and what they're doing about it. And only for the last moments of the episode to be Bill being told by Bellamy that Clark doesn't have the key and the key was actually destroyed. Not only showing Bellamy's loyalties to Bill, to his friends, but also the fact that he betrayed Clark. So, a lot of transformation for Bellamy in this episode, for sure. And I mean, that's one way to bring him back full steam ahead, you know? So characters, again, we really only see between Bellamy and conductor Doucette. With the conductor, we get more of an insight into what it is to be a disciple. We get a little bit of it with Orlando on Skyring, but not to the extent that we do with the conductor. Here we get more of, like, because we get an actual debate between him and Bellamy about the beliefs of the shepherd and, like, the passages and all that. And then we kind of see his way of thinking versus Bellamy's way of thinking, which is what we've always been a part of since the beginning of the show. And then just to see how that shifts a little bit between the two of them. I think we definitely see Bellamy be affected by the conductor, but I would like to believe that the conductor was also shifted in his belief in regards to Bellamy. So we'll have to wait and see about that a little bit more. But we do get more of an understanding of the way that Bardo was brought up through the teachings of the shepherd. But moving on to tidbits, though, is the fact, or I guess do I consider it a parallel? I don't know. But at the very beginning of the episode, when he first got to the Ethereal, we see Bellamy's drive to reunite with Octavia, Echo, and Clark. And he's like trying to do everything and keep fighting forward to get to the people that he loves. And I thought it was really cool how it's those three women that are there when he's actually brought into the room in Bardo, and we see their different reactions. Even though he is now a disciple, it's very interesting to see that we are able to see the three that he mentioned be the three that are there, minus Gabriel. He's like the objective observer in this situation. So that's something there. I'm not going to talk about ship status just because it really is just that brief one scene of 3 other ships with Bellamy, and then it's really just the camaraderie between Bellamy and Doucette, Doucette, or the conductor. But there's that. But most shocking moment of the episode, the fact that Bellamy betrays Clark and becomes a disciple. I mean, I will talk about it a little bit more later, though, but I already had a feeling that there was a huge possibility that Bellamy would become a disciple. I mean, when he kneeled down the bill, that was like, oh crap, it actually went this way. But I thought once Bellamy got a hug from Clark and she was telling him about the flame and stuff, I thought maybe he still had his loyalties to her and maybe he might keep quiet about her and not tell Bill. But then when he did, I was just like, you see that look of betrayal on Clark's face, and it's just like, it was like, also, the Bellamy we saw at the beginning of the episode is not the Bellamy we saw at the very end. It was like, you could see just a shift, and it was just like, it was a huge shock for me. It's just like, if anybody, Bellamy has always been very stubborn in his ways, and he's always tried to see the good for his people. And I'm just wondering, after all the fight that he had in this episode, was it really almost dying that made him think the shepherd's way is right? Or like, what have you? Like, I don't know. So that's something there. But let's move on to parallels before we go into anything else. The huge one is the fact that we see the I am not afraid repeatedly said by Bellamy. As we know, this is something he always taught Octavia to do, and this is something she always repeated as a child. It's something that Levitt brought up as well when he told Octavia of a way to beat the memory capture and instead of fighting it. And we get a repeat of it with Bellamy. And we get it at the beginning of the episode for sure, but he also says it at the very end. But then it's like that got replaced with the prayer. So maybe I don't know, but it was great to see the motto back. We also get Aurora back. She really was only in episode 106 in the flashback. So it was really great to see her return and seeing the impact Bellamy had on it. I don't know if that's what swayed him, though, to the ways of the disciples or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Another parallel, or maybe another callback, I should say, is the fact that Bellamy really references back to Earth skills with Pike, what he learned on the Ark through his classes, and also on their time on Earth, and tried to survive from that. So that was pretty cool that he was bringing back all that stuff. And then a parallel, I guess you could say, is the Clark and Bellamy hug. Last time they did it was in 613, when she was coming back from the transporter ship. You definitely also get a very different vibe from that hug with this hug that they have, but that is definitely a parallel there. Now, top 3 favorite moments. A huge favorite would have to be the fact that it's Bellamy's return after such a long absence. I didn't realize how much I missed Bellamy until I got this episode where it's like, it was just all Bellamy. And it's like, okay, I'm good with this. So it was really great to see just how he was able to survive by himself, because roughly that's what he was doing for a week while the conductor was out cold from his injury. So it was really interesting how he was able to survive on his own. It was also interesting how he entertained himself and filled the silence and just what he was talking about. Got us a little bit of sense of what was going on in his head. It was also very interesting to see him debating with the conductor about the belief system of the shepherd and how that contradicts with what he's always grown up with. Bellamy being the advocate of like emotions are important. That's what makes life. And then the conductor is kind of the opposite, how like emotions drive you to do selfish things and not thinking of the betterment of people as a whole type of a thing. So it's kind of like they both have their merits, but it's like, I'm still going to side with Bellamy at that part. And the Disciples Way is just more of like androidish a little bit. So there's that. Another favorite I'm going to have to say is the fact that we got the hug between Clark and Bellamy. Again, I had to wait 11 episodes for them to share a scene together. And it's just like, it's also their first scene of the season together. So it's like, it's about time. Only downside is the fact that it's just not Bellamy, the Bellamy that we know that's reacting to it. Because if you go back to their last hug, you can just see the intense fierceness of him reacting to her hug and vice versa. Or even if you go back to the very first hug that they had in episode 205, and you just feel like that very tight grip relief of like holding each other after not seeing them for so long. And with this hug, you do see it on Clark's side, but with Bellamy, I don't think he all he did was just like put his hands up as if like, yeah, I'm finishing the hug, but there's not an actual like holding you tight, I'm glad I've seen you after so long type of a thing, right? So that's the only downside to the hug. And then my biggest peeve is the fact that Bellamy actually became a disciple. And like as I mentioned before, I did fear that that was going to be a possibility. I mean, if anything, it made more sense for me for Echo to be turned disciple than it was for Bellamy. So that's what made it a huge shock. But the fact that, like, I don't know. I thought when Bellamy saved Doucette when he was just swinging off the side of the mountain and he was just had a rope that's left, and the fact that Bellamy wouldn't cut him loose to let him to help save him, I still thought that that was Bellamy. I mean, that kind of sounded similar, now that I'm thinking about it, that kind of parallels to 204, where Bellamy was also hanging on the side of a mountain trying to rescue the delinquent Mel, I believe. And it reminded me of that. But then the moment he started reciting the prayer, I was like, oh crap. Maybe not so much. But it's just like there's a lot of actions where it's like it's still Bellamy, but then at the same time it's like, well, technically it could count as him being disciple. And then him actually, I really don't know if he's truly in the ways of the disciples now, or maybe he's just thinking too many coincidences are the only ways to make it makes sense for him, and that's why he's going that way. Or maybe he just knows like they're the way to survive, and that's maybe their way's better. I don't know, but it's just like I was like so happy to have Bellamy back, but then also just so disappointed by the end of it when he's not on our heroes' sides. He is against them now, and it's just like, no. I feel like how like in season 3 when he was on Pike's side when it came to the whole issues with Tree Crew. It's like that feeling again. And it's just like, oh, no. So there is that. So let's get to random questions, though, very quickly. First one is, where is Gaia if she wasn't with Bellamy on Etherea? As you remember, there was one soldier that kind of took her with them when she was going to leave the stone in Sanctum. So that's over there. We haven't seen her since Clark and the others have left Sanctum. So that's question there. Another question is Bellamy truly a disciple now, or is he playing one as a Trojan horse like I believed Echo was doing, which he ended up doing, or do we now have a favorite character now being an enemy of all the others? So I'm worried about that as well. Another question was, did Bellamy really communicate with Bill during that whole prayer session vision thing, or was it just a manifestation, or did Bill from Bardo actually communicate with Bellamy? And because he said welcome back to Bellamy when he came back to Bardo, but I'm wondering if that is because he got a heads up from the conductor, or if it's because he got a heads up from Levitt, or if he did actually communicate with Bellamy on Ethereal. That's kind of what I want to know there. And I'm also just wondering, as my last question, how the hell did one prayer session under the disciples' word of passage, how did that change Bellamy so damn much to pretty much pledge his loyalty to Bill and betray Clark, who he's had extreme loyalties to since, well, for many years now, at least. I mean, it's not like Clark's a stranger, but now Bellamy might as well be a stranger, you know, so that's something there. Which, let's talk about that now. Predictions. Moving on to the promo of the next episode, 7/12. It is, we seeing Echo fights with Bellamy. Bellamy is in the Disciple white gear. We see Octavia and Bellamy fighting, where she says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "What I have to do," which I don't know if it's because he's pledging himself to the last war thing, or if maybe he has another ulterior motive to help his friends out and to save them. I have no idea. But another part is that we see Shaheda bringing more chaos into Sanctum, so we're going to go back to Sanctum there. And then it looks like we see Clark going in the memory capture machine, and she's in tears. So chances are they're putting in their machine because she's the only one that's been in the flame, so they're hoping that she has enough memory inside there that they could take things out. And I'm really tempted to go back to episode 316 and really just revisit the City of Lights scenes, just to see if there's any anomaly symbols anywhere that pop up that are like hidden, or they're a subliminal in some sense. Because if they managed to plan it out that far ahead, that'd be damn cool. I will say that. So that's something there. With the synopsis though for 7/12, it reads, it's a new day in Sanctum, and Clark, Octavia, Raven, and Echo struggle with a new foe. I really think new foe is in reference to Bellamy, which is gonna suck, but just because like we just got him back and now he's an enemy for us. So, and also the fact that the episode's titled "The Stranger," that could be in reference to Bellamy, because the conductor in this episode said, as a quote to Bellamy, that like, "I love all people, even you, a stranger," kind of a thing. So I'm thinking we will probably see more of that happening, or at least we'll have conflict there with our usual main cast characters against Bellamy for his now association and deal with the Shepherd. So that is pretty much it, guys. But what did you guys think of this episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, do the little notification bell as well, if you like keeping track that way. Also, if you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all that good stuff. All found on place. Go check it out. I am behind, but I did post all that stuff for the first half of season 7. I do have to do a bunch of GIFs and stuff. I found that my dashboard was just filled with 100 stuff, so it's like easier for me to go and try to catch up that way. So I tried to do as much as I could the last time I went on. So check that out. Also, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. It's a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. And that is pretty much it, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode, because the next episode starts the five final episode count, because it's episode 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 5 episodes left of the full series, and it's just, I'm gonna have to start changing the thumbnails now because of it starting next week. So it's bound to get crazy. So I hope you guys come and check out my video, see how I felt about the ride. I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys want to see in these final 5 episodes that are coming. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.